Consumerism is creating a desolate wasteland of photography. Let me explain. Freedom as an adult is often attached to how much buying power you have. Consumerism not only drives today's economy in America, but the economy around the entire world. Without people constantly buying, our society would quickly crumble. Americans specifically are such consumers that there is an entire period in our history known as the consumerism era, which immediately followed World War II. An economist said, "The affluent society makes no meaningful distinction between luxury and necessity." And that, my friends, is where we start today's video. How the consumerism habits of modern society is breeding lazy, less talented photographers. If I asked you to name some essentials in your life, you'd probably say something like food, water, shelter, electricity. But what if I asked you about film photography? Well, medium format, f1.8 lenses, a spot meter, Portra 400, but how much of that do we actually need? When is good enough good enough? It's no secret that photography, either digital or analog, isn't cheap. You can spend more than $6,000 on a digital camera body alone, spend even more on a nicely kept Leica film camera. Add lenses, film, tripods on top of all that camera cost, and you have about a year's worth of rent sitting on your shelves. But cameras aren't just there to be looked at and gather dust. We want to use these amazing tools to get out our artistic view of the world around us. Personally, I not only want to see my vision actualized on film, but I also want to share that process and the subsequent results with the world here on YouTube. The photography community on YouTube is vast and varies widely, from small creators creating passion projects to huge creators shooting projects for Bentley and Adidas. With its much variety on YouTube, certain trends have emerged over the years, and there has been sort of an agreed upon status quo to get your videos seen by many more people. Put a dollar amount in the title or thumbnail. The most expensive film I've ever used. This $10,000 camera, is it worth it? Camera A versus camera B. What's the best value for $5,000? Titles like this plague YouTube like a rash you didn't even know you had. They're everywhere. And after reading the debut article from Lucy Lumens on F-Stoppers, pondering my own process, and thinking of many photography YouTube trends, I've come to a conclusion. Consumerism is creating a desolate wasteland of photography. Let me explain. If you're starting on YouTube or thinking of starting on YouTube, a lot of people advise you on how to grow. And a good way to do that is following current trends. YouTube has an entire section of their site dedicated to what is currently trending today, and it's a huge accomplishment to make it on that list. After considering my values some more and finally giving in to the feelings I've had for years, I've decided I need to not follow these trends anymore. What I want instead is to innovate within a crowded space. Innovating is defined as making changes to something that is already established. Film photography has been around for nearly 200 years, so how exactly do I innovate in a space that's been established for so long, in a platform that's inundated with the same sort of videos? First, we have to know the difference between innovating and iterating. Innovating is new, it's difficult, and it's time consuming, whereas iterating is faster, has a much lower barrier to entry, and is more well known. So that begs the question, why? Why even try to do something different when the status quo is already established? At least for me, what is popular now on YouTube is not really exactly what I want to be doing. It doesn't really line up with my passions. All of these videos have something in common. They cost a lot of money. Even though we may not agree with the trends, these trends can act as a warning sign of things to avoid. I don't want to make content around me spending a bunch of money on gear. I like using the gear I have, and I work a full-time job where I'm earning less than I probably should, plus Brianna and I are trying to aggressively save for a house. There isn't a ton of extra money just sitting around in my account right now. This focus on consumerism has plagued every hobby on YouTube. If it's a hobby, there's probably already a channel with bright neon thumbnails filled with arrows out there trying to get you to give into those consumer desires. People like watching other people spend money because it's an opportunity to live vicariously through them. We watch them spend money so we don't have to, and we can still sort of get the experience of what it's like to spend that money. Then somehow that morphs into the viewer believing that if they spend more money on things, then they will not only be a better photographer, but also finally a successful YouTuber. With YouTube being the most sought after job by up and coming grade schoolers, Who wouldn't want to be a full-time YouTuber? This cycle of buying and publishing video reviews or unboxings to capitalize on consumer instinct of the viewer leads us to the reality that we live in now, of making content in the limbo of diminishing returns. Diminishing returns is the principle of receiving proportionally smaller benefits as more money or energy is invested. When plotted on a graph, it looks like this. Most videos on YouTube are made within this diminishing returns area of the graph. You think the more you spend, the more you'll get, but in reality, you are getting less and less return on your investment. Which brings us nicely back to innovating. Now that we have a clear visual of where nearly all of the current YouTube content is created in, we can find a better area of the graph to make videos. Here, for example, would be the highest value of return, or where we would get the most out of our investment. The most value with the least cost is where I want to make YouTube videos on the graph. I can still achieve my favorite aspects of film photography without spending huge amounts of money. I can still get the film look I love with cheap film. I can get the satisfaction of mechanical operation out of the $90 rangefinder I found. I can make intentional choices as an artist that influence my work without having to go bankrupt. We can take this one step further and see examples in the real world, not on YouTube, but in Fortnite. Epic Games, the creators of Fortnite, hit a private valuation of $31.5 billion according to Barron's.com. You can't play Fortnite without knowing about skins. Character skins act almost like a visual hierarchy of players. Players will put in real money into the game to purchase skins in order to look like a more experienced and skilled player. These skins don't have any competitive advantage. You don't run faster, aim better, build faster, nothing. They're purely just aesthetic modifications, which goes to show us how an everyday person is willing to pay to play without even considering just keeping the stock character skin and getting better with practice. Why does Fortnite matter here? Why am I going into economics in a video about making photography videos on YouTube? People will spend and spend in this pursuit of perfection. Maybe if I buy this new camera, lens, filter, light, I can be a better photographer. I'm here to tell you that good enough is better than perfect. If we go back to our graph, so many videos are trying to toe the line of diminishing returns, creating content on the knife's edge of positive and negative return while teetering on financial ruin. Why are we doing this to ourselves? If you are an artist of any kind, I'm begging you to please just stop doing this. More money invested does not automatically mean a better product. That new piece of kit will not make you a better photographer. Time passing and more rolls of film through your camera will. We need to get away from this consumeristic aspect of photography. Why else do you think companies like Sony release up to 2 new cameras a year? Because people will buy them in the pursuit of better results. People have convinced themselves that the key to unlocking their untapped potential in photography is just a couple more grand on the credit card. The unfortunate reality is that photography is hard and it takes practice. You can't buy your way up to the front of the line. If your photos suck, that's kind of on you. I can confidently say I take better pictures with this $29 reusable camera than somebody who upgrades cameras every 6 months and never shoots any pictures, because I shoot all the time. A Rolex isn't inherently better than a Casio because both brands are successful at their core function, telling time. We as photographers need to stop focusing on the diminishing returns of the industry and instead focus our energy to the craft and the pursuit of perfection through repetition. If working commercial productions has taught me anything, it's not just about who has the best camera. The people that get hired for the jobs are the ones with the best skill for the job. Don't take the lazy way out of just buying the best of the best camera in hopes that it will make you better, because it won't. Get out there and practice, because that's all you can do. Appreciate you watching this video. I'll catch you in the next one.